Hey, you're listening to Wrestling Roundup on Free FM 89.0. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
So, we got sort of 2 weeks to catch up on. We'll just talk in general about certain things. But to start it off, Raw's greatest attraction, Braun Strowman, is injured.
Yeah, the extent is to be debated. But it definitely appears that he's not 100%.
Yeah. Which we're all sort of hoping that it's going to be a short-term thing just because of how on the rise Braun Strowman was, both in his entertainment value and arguably what he was bringing to Raw. I know a lot of times people mention watching Raw for Braun and seeing what Braun was going to do. Personally, I'm just going to miss the live murder on television, but it's going to be interesting to see what length we're going to see in terms of injury-wise here, and then when he comes back, what he's going to do. Whether he's back for Great Balls of Fire or not. Which does potentially, if the injury is going to be longer than that, bring up the big question mark around Brock Lesnar's opponent.
I've heard anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks.
And I think if Braun is unable to make it, I doubt we're going to get Roman Reigns so early, so I'm going to have to lean towards Finn, just as the only sort of contender here that makes a little bit of sense without, Roman Lesnar is going to be a big thing. So we should probably hold off on that for a little while. And then, of course, the question would be if Finn is taking on Brock Lesnar, is he going to be in his human form or not, I guess. It's crazy that we're talking about a person about whether they're in their human form or their demon form, but we're going to ignore the logic behind it. And really just cross our fingers that Braun Strowman's going to be back. If we're jumping into the tag teams now, Cesaro and Sheamus, number one contenders, after their assault on the Hardy Boys. Not much happening in that tag team division as a whole, really. We're sitting on this one feud, Hardys versus Cesaro and Sheamus. We flipped them heel, sure, but everyone else just sort of exists at the moment.
Yes, Cesaro and Sheamus ran the table in a tag team tournament. That's unheard of, unless you're a champion.
It's definitely making them appear to be, there's no way you can say about it, the strongest tag team in the division, bar the champions at the moment. Because you can defeat every single person in the division one after another. And you really, as you said, don't see that in gauntlet-type matches, really. And it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do with Cesaro and Sheamus, and the titles and the Hardys and everything, just because I don't know if we're going to take the titles off yet, or whether we're going to hold around on it, or what. Because there's always plenty of options open, it's just which option do we take. But in terms of other tag teams, I probably couldn't sit down and name you a bunch, probably just the Club, and Enzo and Cass. I'd roll around to try and find a few more, but in terms of being in a feud, you could argue that those two are in a feud. You did think it was going to end in Enzo and Cass breaking up, but that is not yet to be seen.
What they're doing with Enzo and Cass, and I don't think they know.
Could we say that they got ascensioned yet?
No, but because they're too popular for that. But come to think of it, were they even on Raw this week?
I'm gonna vote no. I don't remember seeing them. So if they were, it was in something not memorable.
Yeah, they were in the tag team turbo match. They were the first team that got squashed by Cesaro and Sheamus.
Good point. Yeah. Enzo and Cass. Dean, Miz, Kurt Angle not in the arena.
Yeah, so we got Miz and Dean Ambrose quote unquote, GMs for the week.
Interesting little twist. I was pretty happy with everything that segment or that storyline produced. The matches, the bits, it was all pretty good. I'm going to imagine this is just building towards their match still. Don't know when, don't know where. Wasn't in London. But it should be a good little match. Those two always seem to put on good matches. I wouldn't necessarily say great, but I'd say good. And as before, we've said it multiple times, they suck at figuring out what to do with Dean as a champion, so I wouldn't be surprised either if he won't be holding their belt after the Collision.
Yeah, I just don't know if putting it back on Miz is the right call or not, but yeah, he probably won't be holding it much longer.
That seems to be the default. With really either mid-card title, just put it on Miz. Problem solved. And 9 times out of 10, you can argue that the problem is solved. Most of the time, Miz takes it and runs with it and has a pretty good damn run. But he's got to be getting up there in his number of Intercontinental Championship reigns at this point, right?
Yeah, he's a 6-time champion. Next time he wins, it'll be 7, and he'll be officially the second, have the second most title runs with it.
And
only Jericho at 9 would have more.
I got to imagine he has a fair amount of US titles as well. I don't know the stat off the top of my head. I'm not that good of a statistician. But it definitely seems as though The Miz is just the go-to. But yeah, as you said, I don't know if he's the right person here for Dean to drop it to or not. We'll have to wait and see if they're going to pull it or not, or whether they're going to hold off a little bit 2 times on the US title. So, The Miz has quite a few titles under his belt, looking here. 6-time tag team, if you put them all together, 8-time mid-card, and only held the big one once. Slightly disappointing. But yeah, we'll see what happens with The Miz. He was doing great on SmackDown, he's moved to Raw. I don't know yet if I can say if he's not shining as much as he was on SmackDown, but I haven't seen as much out of him. But I think that's because he just got so much extra publicity from stuff like Talking Smack. I honestly never hear anything out of Raw Talk, so I don't know if anything happens on there. It seems like on the internet it's like, here's a clip from Talking Smack where this happened, here's a clip from Talking Smack where this happens, but nothing ever from Raw Talk. I don't know if that actually has to do with the quality of the shows. I don't generally have time to watch either of them. But I don't know. We'll have to... I might investigate it. I might try to watch it this week. Jumping into the women's division, our champion Alexa Bliss now has a new best friend, which arguably is just a bodyguard with a fancy title put on it, but hey. Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss look to be running around together for a little while.
Until it's convenient for Nia Jax.
Yeah. But maybe they develop a bond during this time, and they decide to not break off even when they should. It's never going to happen, but it potentially could. It's definitely, I see it just as a temporary fix at the moment to give almost a reason why Nia Jax isn't chasing the title constantly, because she was definitely on a tear of, I should be number 1 contender, I should be fighting for this title, and then that just sort of slowed down. And I guess we're just giving her a reason why she's not trying to attack Alexa Bliss constantly for her title, stall a little bit to give Alexa Bliss time to finish off her other feuds, and then if they're going the Nia Jax route, then biffing Nia, and at that point, with the perfect storyline, of course, because you can just turn on Alexa. But there's plenty of other options in the women's division, especially with what we saw on Raw with the tag team match. There's plenty there. I don't know who just yet we're going to pull the trigger on. I don't know if Nia is actually going to be in a feud or just involved in whoever's in the title feud either, or whether she'll just sit there and float about, as it seems like a lot of people are doing at the moment. It just seems like a lot of them are on autopilot and just existing. And I can't sit down and name you, hey, like, this is a meaningful rivalry that's happening right now. I can just sort of say, these people exist. They're in the dimension, which is not a good thing, I should make clear. So we're going to our entrance theme. Would you like to introduce why we're playing it?
It was my birthday this week, and we always play my favorite theme on the week of my birthday.
Happy birth week. Back with the Wrestling Roundup, Free FM 89.0, Grady and Josh. We're over on the SmackDown bit now. Chris Jericho no longer champion.
Yeah, he got wrote off television.
I feel like this was just a way to... Two things. One, put him on the SmackDown roster if and when he's ever to come back. And two, just to annoy people who were so damn sure that Kevin Owens was winning and Chris Jericho was going to go do his tour. I don't really see any other reason passing the title to Chris Jericho just to beat the poop out of him on SmackDown.
I would just get Jericho on the SmackDown so that when he comes back, he has a storyline.
When or if. I have no idea if it's going to be another tour and come back, or whether it's going to be a tour and we'll think about it afterwards. But Jericho's been pretty entertaining this last run. I wouldn't be against it. SmackDown has its fair shares of people coming soon, both Lana and the New Day. What's with coming soon vignettes? Why do we air them so often? And for so long, without a date? It's bad enough that the new Lana gimmick, like, people are already comparing it, before the whole continuing on forever part, to what may or may not have been a part of Emelina, but I'm more concerned about the coming soon, forever, and ever, and ever. The New Day, I'm assuming we're just waiting for Kofi to be all healed up. Or at least that's my assumption. Since he's been a little under the weather, I guess that's the way to put it. But in the rest of the tag team division, we've got Breezango entertaining their way into the number one contendership. Thumbs up.
Yep. And the Faction Police segment, file segments have been hilarious.
They were already really good and really funny, and now they've just sort of like, because they've been given an opportunity, you can almost feel like they've, turned it up to 11 and ready to go. Everyone seems to be getting behind them. Do I think they'll beat the Usos? Maybe. I'm giving them a solid maybe. If you asked me a month ago, it would be a solid no. If you ask me now, you're getting a maybe. I have more faith in them than I would have.
It's definitely a possibility. We'll give them that.
Not saying it's a high possibility, but there is a possibility. There's always a chance the ref counts the pin wrong or something and accidentally gives them the championship. That would count. But I'm really interested to see what Breezango do, continuing to lead up towards their clash, but more importantly afterwards. Because quite often we see people get, what's like a term, mini push or something like this, as a number one contender. They get it towards the title, they lose to the champions, and then they fly back off into the ether, and we never hear from them ever again, or as much as we were before this. And I'm really hoping that doesn't happen with Breezango. I feel like they got a little bit of sticky with them, so even if they do lose their championship encounter and they're not getting another one, they could at least stick about, whether it's doing these segments, whether it's actually being a quote-unquote legitimate tag team, and legitimate contender. We'll have to see, but Breezango got their opportunity next up Ascension. Or Surf Dudes with Attitudes, one of the two, I don't really care.
We may need a visit from the sea creature.
God. When is that gonna be a thing? Just make it a thing already. Rusev, he's made his demands. It seems as though no one is commenting on his demands. So he's just gonna show up.
It's, I guess, interesting. I'm guessing he'll get a title shot as part of a match for Money in the Bank. As whether he's the only challenger or not, that's yet to be seen.
Yeah. I definitely could see a multi-man match and just biffing him in there as almost a dig at him, just because he's making these demands in storyline. Making these demands and just sort of like, yeah, you get it, but so do these other 6 men or whoever many. Can definitely see it as a part of a multi-man. I'd be fine with it either way. I imagine Rusev isn't going to quote-unquote walk away, so his demands are probably going to be met. Either that or he's going to end up the same way the last person who made demands was, and he's going to end in a match with Shane McMahon at Money in the Bank, one of the two. But if we look at the main event match of SmackDown, we're looking at a 6-man tag match, and it sort of solidifies, at least for now, the guys who are at the top. Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jinder Mahal, and Baron Corbin.
And by the way, it's not a bad thing to be a jobber to the main eventers. Because you're still getting exposure, and at least you're not losing to guys like the Ascension every week.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing to people that matter, and that would be where Sami Zayn is.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say that's where Randy Orton is because he lost to Jinder Mahal. Yeah, I can definitely see it. Sami just sort of sitting there at the moment. I don't see him taking the big belt just yet. I could definitely see it in the future. Then again, if you asked me a little while ago, I wouldn't have thought that Jinder Mahal was going to be going for the big belt either. Or that he was going to get a pinfall, even if it's a 6-man pinfall over Randy Orton. These are all things that I wouldn't have thought a couple months ago. So predictions are pretty much impossible at this point.
People begged for WWE to surprise them, because there's not enough surprises in WWE anymore. And with Jinder Mahal, and they're like, no, that's not what we were talking about. Wah!
Surprise us with the guys we like, not with Jinder. Come on. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen. As I said, predictions are near impossible, so I'm not going to say whether or not Jinder's going to defeat Randy Orton, especially with the help of the Singh brothers. I'm not entirely sure.
I am hoping for a false finish. I am hoping that Jinder, quote-unquote, pins Randy Orton to make people think he won the championship, but like Orton's butt was on the rope, but the referee didn't see it, and the match gets restarted, and then Orton retains. But I would just want to see the people melt down just from the thought that Jinder's the champion.
You just need that explosion on the internet. I want to see the Twitter stats of angry tweets. And all of the cancel WWE network hashtags and all of the emails to corporate. Gotta love the internet. Great place. Thumbs up. Shinsuke Nakamura continuing with Ziggler. Kick him around a little bit.
Knee to the face.
And then we all clap. We're all happy for Dolph Ziggler. But at least for now, I'm assuming, is their match official, or is it just assumed at this point? They will have a match. Not next week, but I suck at doing weeks. On the 21st of May, at Backlash, it is a confirmed match. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler.
That was announced on SmackDown last night. Which, by the way, if you ask the Usos, is 11 days from today, my time.
And then it's 10 from my time, but we get it a day after, so it's 11 still. But then this airs tomorrow, so it's 10 days. 10 days from now, when this airs live on the radio in all time zones. Hopefully. Unless it's ticked over midnight. This is why I don't do time conversions. And we've also got Charlotte, Becky, and Naomi taking on the Welcoming Committee. Booked for Backlash as well. Which should be interesting. Last bit of news I've got written down here. WWE filmed some UK episodes while they were over there, and Jim Ross posted a blog about it, essentially saying that him and Nigel McGuinness were going to be the commentators on the episodes, and they were going to air on the WWE Network. So I don't know if these are going to be one-off specials, or exactly when we're going to get them. I think the phrase was in the coming weeks, or within the next few weeks, but that sounds like an interesting combination.
It'll be interesting. I'm not sure if I'll watch or not, because I didn't watch the UK tournament, and I haven't really cared about the UK Championship.
And in its defense, the UK Championship has shown up like twice, right? I remember.
And it's shown up a few times on NXT.
I don't know if it's aired or if I read like taping spoilers. I'm hoping it was actual aired stuff, but The UK Championship was put on the line against Jack Gallagher on NXT.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was a couple weeks ago.
There we go. So
but even that wasn't enough for me to go actually watch the match.
Oof.
And I adore Jack Gallagher.
That's a harsh review. If Jack couldn't convince you to go care about the title. I think it just needs that show consistently featuring the championship. Just sort of floating around here and there isn't the most useful exposure for the championship and its champion. Pretty much been no, as far as I know, other than Tyler really, sort of signing or crossover type stuff. But I'm imagining if we wait around for a little bit, it'll start to incorporate better with the main shows. Or just get its complete own standalone. Rightio, well, it's been great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wrestling Roundup Radio, Twitter page, twitter.com/Wrestling Radio, and we'll see you next week. Got no time to waste. Tonight's the big goal strike.